Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of Mayor and Council of the City of Seaford. If you're inclined, would you please rise for the invocation? Heavenly Father, we gather before you in thanks for all things, even the very breath of life. We ask that you instill in us wisdom and courage to make the decisions necessary for the betterment of our community. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 If you would remain standing for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. City Manager, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, sir, there are not.
Okay, thank you. You've all had a chance to review the minutes of the meeting of March 12th. If there are no questions or comments, I'll accept the motion to accept.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All right, we'll take the yeas and nays. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All present voted yes. Okay. Tonight we have the honor of having some distinguished guests with us, and I'd like to call up Senator Stephanie Hansen, Senator Bryant Richardson, Representative Danny Short, County Council President Mike Vincent. And tonight, we'd like to recognize Sarah Lee Thomas and Sue Weil for their dedicated service to the Downtown Seaford Association. And if Sarah Lee would come forward, and Sue also. Front and center.
Was that? Okay. All right.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, all councilmen and vice mayor, for allowing us to make this this tribute today. You know, my mother. I'm from Middletown, so I'm the state senator of Middletown, and Middletown's home, but Seaford is down home, and I come down home all the time. And at one of the visits down home a couple of months ago on the holidays, Mom had mentioned to me that she was going to be retiring from the Downtown Seaford Association. And I thought, wow, this is the end of an era. And that Sue, her right hand, was going to be retiring with her as well. And no one could remember how long it's been. We checked everything that we could find. We know it's more than 30 years. So we developed tributes that say 30 plus, because we just can't figure it out. But I can't remember a time when I didn't come home and there was something about downtown Seaford that was going on in my house. There was the Christmas parade, the Halloween parade, the summer picnics, Riverfest. One time I came home and she had the banner for the Downtown Seaford Association banner laid out in the living room. And she was hand sewing the letters that had started to fray and fall off. And it was made of felt. And I thought, how old is this? It's made of felt. But that just tells you the care and love that she has for downtown Seaford and has for decades. So I thought, well, it's important that we recognize that level of community service, of sustained community service, really means a lot to a community. And so we have Senator Richardson and I have two tributes. They're both very similar. So I'm going to read one of them. One is for Sarah Lee Thomas as the president, and the other is for Sue Weil as the secretary-treasurer. Sometimes secretary, sometimes treasurer, sometimes secretary-treasurer. But one of those things for at least the last 30 years. And what was so funny is that I had to call Mom and ask her what was Sue's last name. Because you would think that after 30 years, I would know Sue's last name, right? All I know her as my friend Sue. The way my mother taught, my friend Sue. So I could have put my friend Sue on here, but it just wouldn't have made the right impression. So what the tribute says, very similar to Mom's and Sue's. Be it hereby known to all, Senators Stephanie Hansen and Bryant Richardson are joined by the Senate of the 152nd General Assembly in commending Sarah Lee Thomas and Sue Weil on their retirement after more than 30 years of leadership as the President for Mom, Secretary Treasurer for Sue of the Downtown Seaford Association. They've been leaders in the downtown business community for more than 30 years. As the President and Secretary Treasurer of the Downtown Seaford Association, and in partnership with the City of Seaford for decades, they've led the planning and execution of many of the town's most memorable events, including the annual Seaford Holiday Parade, the annual Halloween Parade, the annual Downtown Window Decorating Contest, the annual Summer Picnic and Holiday Dinner, Live for Chocolate, and Downtown Seaford's participation in the annual Nanticoke River Fest. Their care and enthusiasm for their community are brought to life through these good works which promote downtown Seaford as a vibrant business community and bring cheer and hope to so many citizens in Seaford and its surroundings. They are inspirations. The sponsors find it most befitting that these remarkable gentlewomen be recognized for their contributions and commitment to the citizens and the businesses in Seaford and the First State. With congratulations and best wishes, the Senate directs this tribute issued Wednesday, the 26th of March. That is not today. Wednesday is not. Today is Tuesday. I'll get it fixed. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, it's so formal and we got the day wrong. It's okay. Okay. As they celebrate a culmination of a job well done, and it's signed by the Senate Pro Tem Dave Sicola, the Secretary of the Senate, myself, and Senator Bryant Richardson. Mom, here's yours. And Sue, Bryant, do you want to come up here? Here, you should come up with me. And here's yours. Maybe we come up here. Let's get this. After photo. Okay, that's good. All right, we'll stand back here then.
Sarah Lynn, we're gonna do this one when everybody's done.
Do what?
We're gonna do one big picture after they've done their presentation.
Oh,
You
okay.
got some more comments. You have more.
That's not it.
Oh. So that's a surprise. You have.
I just wanted to mention something. Senator Hansen has rank because it's her mom, even though it's my district. I did a few, I guess you probably ran for state senate sometime. I ran for state senate, and we're both up for re-election this year. But when I went by her mom's shop down her hair salon downtown, I saw Senator Hansen's sign for state senate in there, and I thought, Democrats are in control, and now they've gerrymandered this district. So, but we get along well in the Senate. I think I've been on task force with you, and I think we support many of the same ideas. So I'm very proud to be able to stand up here with these fine ladies, and I know they do a lot for our community, and I know that even though they're stepping aside, they probably will not be stepping down. They'll still be contributing their ideas. So thank you very much for all you do.
Well, Sarah Lee and Sue, we have two tributes also here from the other chamber on the other side of the building, the House of Representatives, and we put down, it doesn't matter what day we give this to them because it was 30 years in the making. Any day we want. And it's signed by the Speaker of the House, Valerie Longhurst, our Chief Clerk, Rich Puffer, and myself. And we do document them and give them a number of the 152nd General Assembly. So we like to tell everybody, you are now in the archives of the General Assembly. So when we put in your name and downtown Seaford, you two will come up. And I imagine there won't be anybody else. If we put 30 years and plus, there's another than that. But let me just tell you a little story. This is not an easy job. I can remember Mike and the senator, myself, the mayor, and others had been in the Christmas parade every year. And these two ladies, along with some other members here, are out there in the cold, making sure this Christmas parade goes off. And it's one of the largest Christmas parades in Sussex County. So usually one of the first things that you walk up to the booth to make sure that you get your number is, Sarah Lee will say, Danny, you did register it ahead of time, didn't you? Because if you didn't, the wrath of Sarah Lee and Sue would be on you. And now I think Ray's taking that up in that mantra, but anyway, you get your number. And then this year, for example, we pre-registered, a whole bunch of us, but we didn't have a number. And Sarah Lee says to me, I don't think it matters this year. Just get up front somewhere. I said, okay. So we did. But I wanted to say thanks. You know, I've been downtown for many years, and without the two of you and being the driving force and a variety of things for the Downtown Association, it wouldn't be what it is. And the other group now taking over has a legacy to try to fulfill, to follow you. So thank you, all that you've done. We've been together when I was mayor, and we've called on you many times, and you've been there. So thank you and appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much.
There's more coming. I'll bet you didn't think tonight when you walked in here you were going to get the archives, did you?
No.
I didn't think you probably did. But to go on with Danny's, you two have done so much for this city, especially downtown, and you're going to be truly, truly missed. It's hard today. We all realize this room is hard today to get people to volunteer for anything, from the fire service right on down. But you have done it year after year after year and done a great job. Made the city proud of what you've done. I just wonder now who's going to send me the request for money for the parade. I'm sure someone will. There we go. A hand raised up already. I knew someone filled it out. I have a tribute here from the county council for each one of you. There's yours. And there's yours. But again, thank you both so much for all you've done in this city. We really appreciate it. You've been a blessing to all of us. And you're going to be dearly missed. You're still going to be here, but you're going to be missed. But now you're in the archives.
In 2014, when I moved my business downtown, one of the first things that Karen and I did was join the Downtown Seaford Association. It was one of the best things we did. We wanted to become a part of downtown, and even after the sale of my business, we continued to be active, and we're still members today, thanks to your leadership. And we look forward to continuing that relationship with Downtown Seaford Association. The mayor sends his regards. He is away on business and regrets that he can't be here, but he has proclamations for you. And this one is for you, Sarah Lee, and this one is for you. And we thank you very much for your dedicated service to the betterment of Seaford.
Just put some right over here.
Just open one. There you go. There you go. Because that's Sarah Lee's business. Yep, there's a reason.
And that a nice looking bunch there.
1, 2, 3. I'm gonna jump on the way. Go ahead.
shoot. Paparazzi.
That's a paparazzi. I'll be the same thing.
Omar, ready? One, two,
Paparazzi
three.
in the house.
Good job, guys.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Maybe it's early. 30 years. And the thing that a lot of people don't realize, man, is 30 years of good, the bad.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And stay an anchor.
He's seen some things.
Okay, we're going to bring the meeting back into order. Ashley, do we have someone for public comment?
We do, yes. Dan Cannon.
Certainly not at the level as these ladies, but in my own small way, I hope that I'm helping Seaford as well. Tonight, as you're well aware, some 4,680 registered voters did not vote in the last election. This fact was and is the basis for part of my 2024 candidate survey related to, quote, exploring feasible means to increase extremely low voter turnout, unquote. More specifically, one question focused on how our city might expend some monies to, quote, promote voter turnout via media or other means. The survey has already borne some fruit in the form of a proposal to promote muni election voter turnout fostered by one of the candidates. The proposal is that the City of Seaford would conduct a postcard mailing to each registered voter with a nonpartisan message along the lines of, to all registered voters in Seaford, municipal elections will be on Saturday, 4/2024 from 7 to 3 at City Hall. Absentee ballots are available from City Clerk Ashley Blaylock at City Hall. There are 2 mayoral candidates, Matt McCoy and Jose Santos. There are 5 City Council candidates for 2 positions, Stephanie Grassett, Orlando Holland, Roxanne Knights, Alan Quillen, and Jim Walsh. Please be a responsible citizen by getting out to vote Saturday, April 20, 7 to 3 p.m. at City Hall. This proposal has merit. It's doable and deserves the approval of Mayor and City Council and the timely implementation by the City of Seaford. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Is there anyone else?
No, there's not.
Thank you so much. Moving on, do we have any correspondence this evening?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and open up our public hearing. Call Mr. Bailey up.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. So there's just one item on the public hearing for tonight, and that is for White Line Consultants Incorporated, their property owner of 807 3rd Street. That is tax map and parcel 431-5.00-347.00. They are seeking to subdivide this property into 2 lots for building homes. This is the aerial. It's down at the end of 3rd Street. It's a fairly large parcel for that street. Vacant lands right now. There was a previous home on it that the city demolished several years ago. So they're interested in subdividing that to have 2 homes on it. They did supply us with a survey showing the proposed subdivision. These lots are zoned R2, which is the medium density residential zone, which has a minimum lot size of 4,500 square feet with a 35-foot minimum width. And each proposed lot do meet those requirements. Lot 1 is 5,815 square feet and 42 feet wide, and Lot 2 is 5,388 square feet and 42 foot wide. That's all I have for this, if there's any questions.
Do you have any questions from council? No questions? Are there any questions from the public? With no questions, then we'll close the public hearing at 7:20, and we'll go back to regular business.
Thank you. So for tonight's public hearing, the findings of facts, the project is a lot subdivision. The owners are White Line Consultants Incorporated. The property is located at 807 East 3rd Street. Tax map and parcels 431-5.00-347.00. Zoning is R2 medium density residential, and they're proposing to subdivide this existing lot into 2 lots. The R2 zoning minimum lot size is 4,500 square feet with a 35-foot minimum width, and each proposed lot, Lot 1 is 5,815 square feet and 42-foot wide, and Lot 2 is 5,388 square feet and 42-foot wide. Planning and zoning did make a favorable recommendation for approval to council at their March 7th meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Are
Thank
there
you.
any questions? If there's no questions, then I'll accept the motion.
Councilman Holland, Mr. Vice Mayor, I make a motion to approve the request of White Line Consultants Incorporated, property owner of 807 3rd Street, tax map and parcel 43-5.00-347.00 for subdivision of the reference property into 2 lots as presented.
Have a motion on the floor. Any questions on the motion? If not, I'll take a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. If there are no further questions on the motion, I'll hear the yeas and nays. Can we do a roll call vote? Yes. Thank you, sir. Councilman Holland?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman McCoy?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
Councilman King?
Yes, based on findings of facts.
And Councilman Henderson votes yes based on findings of facts.
Thank you.
So all present voted affirmative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Under new business number 1, we're going to present for approval recommendations from Eric Piner, real estate appraiser with Pearson's Appraisal Service, LLC, related to the February 27th, 2024 tax appeals presented to the City Council. I'll turn it over.
Yes, sir. Mr. Eric Piner's here with us.
Good
And,
evening.
just a little background for the City Council. In your package is his written recommendation for both the appeals that were received. So, Mr. Piner, would you mind just walking the council through your recommendations?
Certainly. As you know, we had 2 appeals this year. First one, Mr. Perlmutter of 200 South Pine Street is the owner of the property and is of the opinion that the assessed value of the property is way above market value based on the property being a brownfield site, which severely restricts the potential development of the property. The designated brownfield site is a piece of real property that has been contaminated with some type of hazardous material pollutant, I believe petroleum in this instance. Mr. Perlmutter has received an estimate of $2.6 million to clean up the property. Based on research into brownfield sites and the impact those sites have on the resale and development of contaminated properties, and after consultation with Fred Pearson, Delaware Certified General Appraiser, I recommend a 75% reduction across the board on both land and buildings. This 75% reduction would remain on the property until such time the property is cleaned up of contaminants and deemed usable by state or federal authorities. A 75% reduction would result in a new land value of $222,800. I've got 811 on the written on there, but it's rounded. The computer will round it to 800, so I won't make a change if I could. The new improvement value would be $52,500 for the main structure and $18,800 for the outbuildings. The new total value for land and buildings would be $294,100.
So are there any questions on that recommendation?
If not, we'll move to the next item, or do you want to do one at a time?
I think I would suggest the council consider doing one motion and one approval for each property, if that's acceptable.
Okay, so do you want to have him address 811?
Yes, sir,
Okay,
please.
thank you. Mr. Piner, 811 Perkins.
Go ahead, okay. 811 Perkins Street, the owner Jeffrey Stevens states that there was a fire there and it resulted in the house being no longer livable. I was unable to get a damage report from the Seaford Fire Department, and my call to Mr. Stevens went unreturned. But I did go out and look at the house. It's all boarded up. I couldn't see inside of it, so it was kind of somewhat a stab in the dark. But obviously there was some damage to it. The current assessed value is $54,000. That's for land. $34,000 is for the assessed value of the dwelling. And based on what I consider, I recommend the value of the dwelling be reduced to $11,300, and that's an 80% depreciation reduction. The total new value with land would be $31,300. This value would remain in effect until either improvements are made to the dwelling or the dwelling is raised.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this? I do have one question regarding beneficial use of the property, since, if the property is currently condemned.
I do not believe it's currently condemned, but as has been stated, it's boarded up, and the structure is generally intact.
Seems to be, yes.
So it could be used for something less than habitation, storage, or something of that nature until the building is tore down.
Okay. I know that during the last meeting, the gentleman did say that he was using it for storage and he had plans to tear it down. But I would like to have some assurance that since he's gotten a tax break, that he's not going to use it for habitation or beneficial purposes other than storage, because it's not, the value's not depleted to nothing,
right,
but it can't be lived in.
Yeah, if acceptable to the council, if this moves forward, we'll ask our building official and his staff to go over there and make an inspection, and he can document that the building is condemned and cannot be used for human habitation without improvements through the process.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions on the matters? If not, I'll take a motion to.
All right, Councilman King, Vice Mayor, I will make a motion to approve the recommendation from Eric Piner, real estate appraiser with Parsons Appraisal Services LLC, related to the February 27th, 2024 tax appeal presented to the City Council as follows. Jeffrey Stevenson, 811 Perkins Street, tax map and parcel number 331-5.20-13.00. Adjustments of the improvement value from $34,000 to $11,300 with no change to the existing land value, bringing the adjusted total property value to $31,300 as presented. The residents at River Place, 200 South Pine Street, 431-5.00-391.00. Adjustment of the land value from $891,200 to $222,811, and adjustment of the improved value from $285,100 to $71,300, bringing the adjustment total property value to $294,111 as presented.
Thank you for that motion. If there are no questions, I'll ask for a second.
I'll second the motion.
I think we have a second from Councilman McCoy. If there's no other questions, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman King?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
And Councilman Henderson votes aye. So all present, affirmative. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You can stay if you want, but you don't have to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business number 2, we're going to present for approval a recommendation from the Economic Development Committee related to a request from TRPM LLC, First Due Care LLC, for a tax break on city property taxes, waiver of all city permitting and construction fees, and discounted electric, water, and sewer rates. I'll turn it over to Mrs. Newcomer.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the request that you have before you for TRMP LLC, First Due Customs Care LLC, just to acclimate you, is at 162 Venture Drive in Ross Business Park. You see on the bottom right of the screen the Sussex County tax maps. It's highlighted in yellow, and then the aerial highlighted in yellow sits just south of FedEx to help acclimate you. Representing the project is Mr. and Mrs. Brad Taylor. They're here this evening and can answer any questions that I cannot. The Economic Development Committee met on March 15th to hear their request, and as previously stated, their request was for 100% tax break on city taxes, 100% waiver on City of Seaford permits and fees, discounted electric, and discounted water and sewer rates. To give you a little bit of a background on this project, Miss Ashley Taylor is a practicing nurse practitioner. She's been in the business for about 15 years now. So this will serve as her medical office in the Ross Business Park, caring for patients in our community, as well as specialized services. Some of those will include DOT physicals, employment and sports physicals, NFPA regulated fire department physicals, and post-accident testing. The plan does have future phases 2 and 3, that will come later. The request in question is just for phase 1. With phase 1, there will be about 4 to 5 employees, and then the future phases could bring an additional 7 employment. They've secured a $1.1 million loan from County Bank to do this work, and the committee had quite an extensive conversation around all of the requests. And what the committee is recommending to City Council is to do a waiver of the water and sewer tap fees similar to what we've done previously for Muirfield. That amount would be $2,375, and a 50% reduction on the stormwater impact fee, only that one, in the amount of $4,791.60, giving them a total incentive of $7,166.60 for phase 1 only, with the stipulation that this incentive would expire 48 months from the date of council's approval. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and as I stated, the Taylors are also here if you have specific project questions.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. So Trish, what was the reasoning and thinking? I mean, why not just give them the complete 100% waiver on the impact fees? Why 50%, not just giving them 100%?
The reason behind that is they are prepping the entire site currently, but they're not utilizing the entire site. So the thinking was to charge a portion of it now, not necessarily charge them for the whole thing that they're not going to use.
Okay.
Did I state that correctly?
Are they going to come back again, or is this like everything going to feed off of this? So when you're saying they're doing phase work, is there more?
Phase works, there'll be additional buildings on the site.
Additional, like as far as hookup?
I mean, there will be as far with regard to the buildings, yeah.
Yeah, phase 1 is just the medical office currently. The plan has 2 other buildings, a garage for Mr. Taylor's business. He
And
works
the
on
warehouse.
Vehicles, and then a warehouse. So we are not positive how he'll phase that. Will he build both buildings at the same time, or one?
Sure. Well, my question is, they could come back and say, hey, we're adding 2 additional sites.
They certainly could. They certainly could come back to the Economic Development Committee. They can make and the council, the sitting council at the time would have that decision. Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're correct.
Councilman McCoy?
I believe in the past, if a business or a partner have approached their sunset date, in this example, 48 months, they could apply for an extension. Would that
Correct.
still be applicable here?
Again, that would be, they would have to submit a request. It would have to come before the sitting council at the time, and that council would have to make that decision. But yes, you are correct. We've recently done that. I think 2 meetings ago, we had a similar situation.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. If there's, I would like to make one comment that although I am a member of the Economic Development Committee, I was not present at this meeting. So I'm withholding any comment because I wasn't present. I can't give you any perspective on it. So with that, if there's no further questions, I will accept the motion.
Vice Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the recommendation from the Economic Development Committee and provide a waiver of all water, sewer, tap fees in the amount of $2,000 $375, and a 50% reduction in the stormwater impact fee in the amount of $4,791.60 for a total incentive to TRPM LLC First Due Care LLC in the amount of $7,166.60 for Phase 1 only, with the stipulation that this incentive will sunset 48 months from the date of council approval as presented.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. If there's no other discussion, I'll hear the yeas and nays. Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson votes yes, and Councilman King.
Aye.
Thank you.
So all present voting affirmative. Thank you. Item number 3, we're going to present for approval the memorandum of agreement between the City of Seaford and the Delaware Division of Communications to maintain the communication tower site at the City of Seaford Police Department, property located on Virginia Avenue, Seaford, Delaware, in order to meet the requirements of the state of Delaware's digital 800 megahertz statewide trunked radio system. And I'll turn it over to you, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Henderson. So, Council, in your package, you have some information on this. The first document is a redrafted memorandum of agreement between the City of Seaford and the Delaware Division of Communications. We took the existing agreement and we updated that. The agreement is centered around the large 450-foot tower that's behind the police department. And a couple pages in, there is a aerial view of the police department. And the area outlined in red in the back is the leased area for this. This original agreement was entered into 26 years ago in 1998 when the tower was built. That's the time that the state of Delaware invested heavily in the 800 megahertz system. And we were one of 3 sites that were negotiated with to construct these towers throughout the county. That system is still in use, and the 25-year agreement has run its course and is due for renewal. In our negotiations, and I must say I worked with Director Bennett, Director Mears, and the Chief of Police on this extensively, and the state of Delaware. They desire to maintain this lease because the equipment's still good, they've updated it, and they actually have lease arrangements with Verizon and other vendors on that tower that lease space from the state of Delaware. Our officers still use the 800 megahertz system. Our utility divisions still use that radio network. And by having this here and this agreement in place for the last 26 years, it's allowed us not to invest in our own local radio system. We piggyback on their system. So we all desire to maintain this. If you continue to go through the exhibits in the agreement, there is Exhibit B, which is the communication channels exclusively used by the city, and there are 7 of them. Those are our TAC channels that we use. We want to maintain those. And then associated with this new lease is a lease agreement payment. So you'll see it there. It's actually, it starts in 2024. It's $20,000. And then every year subsequent, it increases by 3% by agreement. So you'll see this agreement, if the council decides to re-execute, would run through 2049 and would end at $41,875. It did take us some time to execute this, so the agreement had lapsed last year, but we were working in good faith with the state of Delaware to reestablish this. As I mentioned earlier, basically the new agreement that you have in front of you for consideration tonight is just an update of the old agreement. The terms are the same. The payment arrangement is new. When we initially executed the agreement with the state, they provided us with all the radio communication equipment that the city had and used. It was about, at the time, if my memory serves correct, it was about $250,000 worth of equipment. All that equipment has aged. We've had to replace it, obviously. They gave it to us, set us up. Now they prefer not to give us equipment. That equipment is much more expensive. A police radio is about $6,000, and a utility radio is anywhere between $2,500 and $3,000. So in exchange, they are offering us the $20,000 a year. In speaking with our Director of Finance, we are recommending that council consider during budget deliberation, any payment that we receive, we put in a reserve fund so that we can use this for radio replacement or any communication issues that the police department or utility divisions would need. I believe the only other changes I'll state that were made, the Division of Communications did go through a name change in the 25 years, so we did update that. And then there were some changes in other ministerial things. I'm the city manager now. Ms. Slatcher was when we executed the original one. So those type of ministerial upgrades were made or changes were made. But in essence, it's just a renewal of the existing agreement. I can try to answer any questions council might have.
Councilman King.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Charles, my question, and this may be something that you might not be able to answer. So when you look at the end of life for this, if there is an end of life communications tower at this property, what does that look like? Would there be a big lift or expense attached to that? And the reason that I'm asking is the money that the money that they're paying, if we're putting that away in reserve to pay for equipment. What does that look like at the end of this process?
So if this lease is abandoned, the way this lease document is written, they have to remove the tower.
Okay.
Yeah. And there would be a conversation with them, if it was still structurally sound, and let's say they moved on to a 900 megahertz system. I don't even know if that exists. Whatever it was. Typically, in our dealings with the state, they might offer it to the city, and then we would look at, is there any utility for us at that time? We've done that in the past. So that could be an outcome, Councilman, at that time as well.
Yeah, and the reason that I asked, to your point, I mean, things are antiquated pretty quickly when it comes to technology. Things are always moving and changing, and so that makes me feel a lot better that there is an exit strategy and not a big tax burden or lift to the residents. So yeah, thank you for explaining that.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think there is another aspect that bandwidth, there's only so many channels or bands that you can get. So that 800 megahertz is going to have a lot of life. It's not like you're going to go to a 900 or 1,000 megahertz because that band is occupied by somebody else.
Yeah, 900 is the megahertz range where your cell phone works, as an example. I just use that.
Yeah.
2.7 gigahertz is what's used at the McDonald's drive-through, as an example. One of the big advances, that bandwidth, as the Vice Mayor's talking about, that'll probably stay available because it's limited. What happened recently is that the technology of the handhelds advanced to where now they're encrypted. So that's a whole new thing. So, the movement in public safety has been to limit what people can hear. So that encryption that they're moving to is going to really reduce kind of this rebroadcasting of scanners and things of that nature, as I understand it. But I have a limited understanding of the technical aspects.
Are there any other questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make the motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the City of Seaford and the Delaware Division of Communications to maintain a communication tower site at the City of Seaford, Police Department property located on Virginia Avenue, Seaford, Delaware, in order to meet the requirements of the State of Delaware Digital 800 megahertz statewide trunk radio system as presented.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. We have a motion on the floor. Any questions? If not, I'll take a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councilman King. No further questions. I'll take the yeas and nays. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
And Councilman Henderson votes aye.
Thank you.
All present affirmative. Thank you. We'll move on to present for approval an assignment of lease document for 1100 Middleford Road otherwise known as the Curiosity Shop.
So I believe the council is aware the city of Seaford is the owner of 1100 Middleford Road, the Curiosity Shop. We own the land and the building at that location. Several years ago, many years ago now, we worked with the Seroptimus Service Foundation of Seaford to build that, remodel that building that was there, and we have a 50-year lease agreement with them that's currently in effect. The club members have notified us through their people, through their folks, that they want to go through a name change. They want to go from Seroptimus International of Seaford, Delaware to the Curiosity Service Foundation Incorporated. They have their own reasons for that as a club, and they've prepared the legal documentation. So what they're asking of the city is for us to execute page 1 of the documentation there, which is a consent to assignment of lease. So we are consenting that we understand what they're doing. We have no objection to the assignment of the lease. It's strictly a name change. There would be no changes to the lease document. I did include it. We executed that lease, the city executed that lease in June of 2003. And I said, as stated, it's a 50-year lease, so it would continue to run under the same terms, the same liability for each organization. As I understand it, the mission of the Curiosity Shop will not change. It's merely a name change. And I would be remiss if I did not say to council that we do have the immediate past president here of the Seroptimus Club, Ms. Tricia Newcomer. So she has agreed, I spoke with her earlier today, she's agreed to answer any questions that certainly I cannot. But in a nutshell, that's what we're being asked to execute, is this consent to assignment of the lease.
Thank you. Any questions? If there are none, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'll make the motion to approve the assignment of lease document for 1100 Middleford Road, also known as the Curiosity Shop, as presented.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. We've got a motion on the floor. If there are no questions, I'll accept a second.
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. If there are no other questions, we'll hear the yeas and nays. Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman Henderson votes aye. Councilman King?
I love me some Curiosity Shop, so I say aye.
This guy.
Aye, yes.
Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
All present voting affirmative.
Thank you.
Okay.
He got me on that one.
Item number 5, present for approval a recommendation to appoint Sharon Drugash to replace Mr. Earl Wright as a member of the Board of Elections for the remainder of the one-year term to expire on February 13th, 2025. Would you?
Yes, sir. So just a little background, Mr. Earl Wright has served us in the past during our elections, and he notified our city clerk that he was unfortunately moving out of the city. So we need to replace him on the Board of Elections. So due to short notice, so on and so forth, we reached out to Ms. Sharon Drugash, who has also served on our election as an election worker for us for many years at the city. She was available. She did agree to accept this position should the city council want to appoint her. But our recommendation is to appoint Sharon Drugash, who lives at 717 West Ivy Drive, to replace Mr. Earl Wright for his term, which would expire on February 13th, 2025.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I make the motion to appoint Sharon Drugash to replace Mr. Earl Wright as a member of the Board of Elections for the remainder of the one-year term to expire on February 13th, 2025, as presented.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. If there are no other questions on the first motion, I'll take a second.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councilman McCoy. If there are no other questions, I'll hear the yeas and nays. Councilman Holland?
Aye.
Councilman McCoy?
Aye.
Councilman King?
Aye.
And Councilman Henderson votes aye. All present voted affirmatively. Thank you. Item number 6, bids. for the Kiwanis Park Memorial renovations.
Yes, sir, thank you. So as council is aware, Representative Danny Short came about a month and a half ago, and presented some proposed renovations to the Kiwanis Park Memorial. And it includes additional sidewalk around the memorial and flag poles. That was the genesis of the project, was we need new flag poles. Unfortunately, we may at some point soon be needing to use the backside of the monument. So these improvements will provide additional lighting, flag poles, and access to the rear of the monument. We did advertise this project for bids. We only received one bid from the Whalen Company. The total for the project that they bid was $74,700. Council will recall that when Representative Short was here, City Council agreed to fund $20,000 of the improvements for the medallions that are proposed, as well as the flagpoles themselves. Representative Short and Senator Richardson have agreed to fund $61,957 of this project through CTF funds, which are eligible. They've received a determination from DelDOT that the sidewalk and some of the other amenities, the lighting, are CTF eligible. So Representative Short is working on that approval. We've received verbal approval. We will need to get the final approval from the CTF managers, and before we can issue any purchase orders or anything like that. So the recommendation, we have worked with the Whalen Company in the past with good success. They were the contractor that renovated the police department basement, the locker rooms. They did a great job on that. So we've worked with them. They're certainly capable of this job, and staff would recommend council consider awarding this bid to the Whalen Company for this work.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I have one. Did
Councilman
Representative Short, did he draw that?
Come on.
He did not.
Oh, okay, I'm just wondering.
He had a lot of input in the design.
If he drew that, did that design?
He did not.
Okay.
No, he had a lot of input in the design. There were several designs that were presented over. We worked on it for probably about 2 months. Staff worked on the design. Ms. Newcomer was very involved in the design, as was Director Bennett for the lighting.
Yeah.
Just to talk about it, we're going to extend the bollard lighting around this that's already in the park so that it's cohesive with the existing. We've specified black flag poles to match the existing dark color of the monument. So, yeah.
Nice, looks good.
Councilman McCoy.
Just for clarity, so if the state with the CTF funding gets approved for 61,000, and the amount of project is 74,700, the city agreed to pay 20,000.
Yes.
If I'm doing the math, that's about 13,700 for the project in addition to the 61,000.
So, no, it's 80, we have a total funding award of $81,957.
Correct, including 20 from the city.
That would include the 20 from the city.
So if the price is 74,700, are we still committed to 20, or are we committing to 13,700 as the remainder of the?
Yeah, no, I got your
Yeah.
question. Yeah, so if the flag poles and the medallions come in less than the 20,000, yeah, we will not spend those funds.
10-4,
You're correct.
that's what's clarifying, thank you.
And this is a little bit of detail, but we put a $10,000 allowance in the bid for the medallions.
Yep.
Because they have to be chosen, and we're gonna, Ms. Newcomer wants to adjust the size and have some flexibility.
Yep.
So the contractor, we put a $10,000 allowance. If it's more, we pay more. If it's less, we pay less. So I believe they'll come in at the 10,000 or less.
And
10-4.
I'm sorry.
Councilman King.
Thank you. So there's no thought, the other side of the park, with maybe some fundraising activity through the community, like you have the bricks on the other side that's kind of donated. I can envision the community kind of, and I don't know what the answer is, but maybe doing something to tie in to do a fundraising event there so that can help bring that cost down even more.
So the other side of the park is the fire, the Seaford Volunteer Fire Department Memorial.
Right.
Certainly, I don't want to say anything can be done. It would have to be approved and in good taste, but as you
Right.
know, in front of this memorial, there are bricks
Right,
that have
yeah.
been established. Certainly, should the Veterans Committee and the Kiwanians want to extend those bricks around this, I think that certainly
Sure.
could fit in. As far as with the firefighters on the other end, that's not something that's come up.
Right.
But that might be something to discuss, you know, it might be great for retired volunteer firefighters.
Yeah, absolutely, and kind of tie it in with the same theme, right?
Yeah, that's an
And,
interesting.
and even if we have some, if the budget was, if the project was X amount of dollars and we come under that and we've got some money left over, maybe even come up with an idea of what we can do with that. Instead of saying, hey, you know, we saved $10,000, which is great, maybe take that $10,000 and go and implement something else in it to make the park even better.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other comments? Okay. If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Vice Mayor, Councilman Holland, I make a motion to award the bid for the Kiwanis Park Memorial renovation to the Whaling Company LLC in the amount of $74,700, pending receipt of the CTF funding as presented.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. We have the motion on the floor. If there's no questions, I'll accept a second.
Councilman King, I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Councilman King.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other questions on the motion, then I'll take the yeas and nays. Councilman Holland,
Aye.
Councilman McCoy,
Aye.
Councilman King,
Aye.
and Councilman Henderson votes aye. Thank you, gentlemen. There is no old business before us, so we'll take the reminder of meetings and setting of new meetings.
Thank you, sir. So the city offices and utility divisions will be closed March 29th, this Friday, for the Good Friday holiday. There'll be a bus trip to Washington, D.C. on Saturday, April 6th, leaving from the Parks and Rec office, 320 Virginia Avenue at 9 a.m. Lighted Up Blue Autism Awareness Ceremony will be Monday, April 15th at 6:30 over in Gateway Park. The Nanticoke Little League Opening Day ceremonies are Saturday, May 4th at 9 a.m. at Williams Pond Park. I believe council received an invitation. And then the citywide cleanup week this year will be May 13th through May 17th. And then our reminder of the municipal election, which will be Saturday, April 20th. There are two candidates running for mayor, Councilman Matt McCoy and Jose Santos. And then there are two council seats for a 3-year term. There are 5 people running: Mr. Alan Quillen, Ms. Roxanne Knights, Dr. Stephanie Grassett, Councilman Orlando Holland, and James Walsh have all filed for council. That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. In Mr. Bradley's absence, he has submitted reports which you can review, and I will go ahead and do the fire and police reports. I have communications from Fire Chief Wilson. I'm going to abbreviate my remarks tonight. I've been speaking a lot. So there was a total department responses of 1,377 calls to date, 2024, for an average of 16.2 calls per day. There's a number of significant incidences. Most all of them are out of the city. There is one that was on March 13th that was in the city. It was a motor vehicle crash with entrapment involving a tractor trailer on West Stein Highway. Under apparatus, all apparatus is currently in service. However, engine 87.5 is missing some of its insignia on the door that got repaired. So if you see it running around town, it's missing its gold leaf and some of the insignia on that door. Engine tanker 87 will be scheduled for DOT inspection this week. You'll see a list of training exercises. They had a training exercise on March 17th where they did live fire training on a structure out west of town on West Stein Highway. 40 personnel attended. There was also a training on March 20th at Delaware State Fire School, Sussex Division, on engine company operations. 10 personnel attended. The next trainings will be on April 3rd and April 17th. Under EMS, Ambulance 87 or A87 was out of service. Well, it says here it's out of service. They said it was, the apparatus was all in service, but anyway, the Ambulance 87 is out of service for a damaged mirror during an accident backing into the engine bay. Lieutenant Hunter Blake, his last shift will be on Saturday, March 30th. You may recall that Mr. Blake is transferring to the Seaford Police Department from the EMS firefighter position. Firefighter EMT Noah Jackson, firefighter EMT Travis White, both are in their phase 3 of their FTO. And firefighter EMT Kyler Martin will return on April 3rd to resume the FTO process. He was allowed off to enjoy the birth of his firstborn child. The new ambulance is on order, that was ordered on August 2nd of 2023, should be here in April of 2026. So lead times for emergency vehicles are getting extended and extended. We have a tower, is it? Or a ladder?
Yes.
Has it been ordered? I know that there's a committee that's investigating it.
If I recall, they're looking at a chassis that's not custom, but I don't think it's been completely ordered yet. I'm not positive.
Well, that's going to be another 2.5 to 3 year lead time to get a new ladder. So, and the tanker has been ordered. That's the new tanker has been ordered, and it was a stock chassis, and its lead times will be reduced, but they're still out there. Of note, you'll see a list of personnel on Friday, March 22nd. Several Seaford Fire and EMS personnel received the Phoenix Award from the Sussex County Phoenix Club for 3 accredited cardiac saves in 2023. So you'll see a list here. Thomas Jefferson III, Samantha Lewis, Brian Truitt, Ron Marble, MJ Butler, Braden Truitt, Hannah Wheatley, Mason Conley, Ashton Bradley, Felix Harmon, Hunter Blake, Troy Christensen, Robin Andino, Wesley DeFord, Patrick Gaskin, Jack Wilson, Harry Mulrine, and Aileen Scritchfield, all receive recognition for these saving 3 lives from cardiac events. So, thank them when you see them, and these people are responsible for saving 3 lives. I'll move. Due to repairs at the fire museum, they're moving some equipment. The old engine 87-4, the red one, the 1946.
I believe that's
correct. That machine is going to be stored at the Blades Fire Station while the painting is going on, and engine 1 is where?
At the Parks Building.
At the Parks Building. So while these repairs are going on at the museum. Have they started yet?
They moved them out today.
Okay, so Move on to police. You'll see the column in 2024 with total complaints, all crimes, and down the line. All crimes is 143 during this period, with 9 felonies, 21 misdemeanors, 9 violations, 2 civil, and 102 other, for a 90% clearance rate, which is outstanding, well above national average and even above our own averages as they get tracked, if you were to compare this report with previous reports. Even in the additional crime section, CID has 64% clearance rate, which is well above the last period. So they're closing out a lot of pending active cases. I think if you notice, there was over a dozen pending active cases from the previous time, so those got closed out. You can see that because there's only one pending inactive case. So a lot of these open cases are getting closed out, and that attributes to the higher clearance rate. There are 21 drug crimes, 19 adult arrests, and 2 prosecution decline. 3 search warrants were executed, and unfortunately there was 1 overdose where Narcan was administered. 224 contacts, traffic contacts, 105 citations, and 23 warnings. If you compare this report with previous reports, although we have about the same number of traffic contacts, citations have increased, which depending on which end you're on, it could be good or bad, but it does mean that the Seaford Police Department is more actively engaging in traffic safety. There were 4 DUIs, 1 crash-related, 37 crashes, 2 were injury accidents, 5 hit-and-runs, most of which were on public roadways during this period, 3 pedestrian accidents during this period, and 1 alcohol or drug-related crash. I had one that I wanted to highlight.
The 12 active warrants.
Yeah, but I've lost it.
Last one.
Oh, yes. On the 23rd of March, the Seaford Police Department conducted a traffic stop on William Weatherspoon, who had 12 active warrants, 4 street warrants and 4 violation of parole or probation warrants. Weatherspoon was processed on the warrants, arraigned, and committed to SCI in default of a secured bond. Now, this person, let me try to get this straight. This person was associated with a gentleman who attacked a former council person, and so he's off the street, which is good news. Lots of administrative work going on community events. On the 14th of March, there was Coffee with a Cop and the Deputy Attorney General at the Boys and Girls Club for dollar dinners. I'd like to thank Councilman Holland. Councilman McCoy, were you in attendance?
I was not that night.
No,
I was on the ball
thought
field.
maybe you would have been with your association with the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, sir.
I was planned to go there, but I was under the weather and I could not attend, which I regret. Under training, there was spear team training, which happens twice a month among team members. There's other canine training for the month of March. Corporal Cody Matthews he's going away for training. He's away currently?
Yes, sir.
He's away currently for canine training and will be returning soon. So I'll move on to Councilman Holland's report.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. They attended the meeting with EPA and Sussex County representatives regarding to the cleanup of the former power plant. And as Vice Mayor just brought up, I attended the coffee and $1 dinner event at the Boys and Girls Club, which was a well-attended event. And IT department resolved firework updates along with communication issues with the rec office. And attended various other meetings and events, and all the work is routine. That concludes my report, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman McCoy?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'll hit a few highlights since the last report. The crew have replaced a stub pole on Riverside Drive for a house service, changed primary and secondary rubber gloves, and cut down a tree at 635 Nylon Boulevard. Regarding our director, he had his standard director's meeting, staff meeting, and council liaison meeting. He also had the monthly construction coordination meeting. Over the course of the next few weeks, they're going to continue working in Bel Air single-family residence section and continue changing the lights on Sussex Highway to LED. That's been my report, submitted in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman King?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. My report has been submitted in its entirety. I'm going to start with the Public Works Department and just hit some highlights from each department. The flushing of hydrants has started. They have cleaned up some derelict properties for the code department. They have started installing new meters in Muirfield. Water services are going in for the new houses on Cedar Lane, so I can tell you it's awesome to continue to see growth and new builds within our community. They're going to repair a service leak on Phillip Street. Jump over to the wastewater treatment facility. The plant is running well. Flows have been elevated with all the rain that we've had, so the team is doing a good job there. The watering is still going on as well. So some of the upcoming projects over the next 2 weeks, they're going to start alley maintenance. Of course, they're gearing up for the spring and summer season, so weed spraying will start, and they would continue the hydrant flushing over the next couple weeks. And then, as always, keep the plant up and running with 0 violations. And with that, Mr. Vice Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Councilman King. We have no other business before us. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, a second.
Councilman Holland, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.